What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Wizards Latest. I'm your host, Ben Robertson, and first off, big thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the episode. Don't forget to scan that QR code and sign up today. We got a jam-packed episode for you. First off, it's game day. We got an update on Cam Whitmore. We'll take a look at Alex Sarr's last 5 games, courtesy of Underdog Fantasy. I have kind of an under-the-radar name I'm going to throw out I think the Wizards should take a look at, and of course, we'll jump into the comment section from the previous video. Appreciate all your support here on the page. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons while you're down in that comment section. And let's just take a quick look at the injury report for tonight's matchup. Fairly lengthy for the Wizards, really for the Nuggets as well, as we get ready for this game. For Washington, Tristan Vukcevic is going to be out. 4th straight game for him. Still dealing with the hamstring. And then Marvin Bagley, AJ Johnson, Chris Middleton. I don't know. Maybe they were sharing water bottles at practice. All 3 of those guys questionable right now with illness. And then Bilal Coulibaly, also questionable, still dealing with his hamstring problem. And then if you look over at Denver, looks like their day-to-day guys are going to play. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Tim Hardaway. Looks like they'll be in action. Jonas Valanciunas questionable. And remember, Jokic he's still out. Christian Brown as well. And Cam Johnson, they're all not playing. But I actually think the Wizards are going to play fairly well tonight and have a chance to break that losing streak if maybe you're catching this post game or tomorrow morning before tomorrow's episode. Make sure to drop your reaction down below. But last 2 matchups for Washington have been really competitive, and it feels like for Denver that not having Jokic is starting to catch up with them just a little bit. Obviously, a lot was made about how well they were playing without him when he first went out of the lineup, but now last couple games, they get blown out by Charlotte. If you saw that Lakers matchup, it was a fairly close score, but they really, really struggled offensively in the second half. And then, really going back to last year, the Wizards seemed to play pretty well against Denver. So I'm actually expecting a pretty solid performance here tonight and at least a chance to break that losing streak. Let's chat Cam Whitmore real quick because we have an update on him. He's been granted, or the team has been granted, that disabled player exception for a Cam Whitmore. Opens up a roster spot, as you guys probably know. I wouldn't mind adding a big, although I think the market kind of thin at the big men spots if you look around the league, and it wasn't really like there's anybody hanging out in free agency, like really exciting to pick up. And now, I will say, hint, more on that front later. But especially if a Bagley trade is in the works, I wouldn't mind a big man just kind of being used in that spot. However, it seems most likely a 2-way guy is going to get just promoted to being full-time member of the roster. For me, seems like a perfect opportunity to make Jameer Watkins that guy. Jameer hasn't really put up big numbers or anything, but I like what he's been able to do at the NBA level. He kind of gives me like Justin Champagnie vibes a little bit, to be honest. A big guard that can rebound well. I know Champagnie's got the offensive rebounding thing going. Justin hasn't really shot it from 3-point that well this year, but I don't know. Let me know what you think about that comparison. But feels like, at least for me, that's what I'm expecting. That's how I'm expecting that open roster spot to be used. Now, later in the video, I will throw out a name that I am still interested in the Wizards maybe going after, an under the radar name, kind of like I said before. Before we take a look at Alex Sarr's last 5 games, fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Download the app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BasketballFan. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8 or text from 467-369.
So, as promised, let's take a look at what Alex Sarr has been doing over the last 5. Again, shout out to Underdog Fantasy for this segment. And obviously bounced back from the ejection against the Clippers, right? And of course, did that against the Clippers, goes off for 28 in that matchup. But I love the 15 rebound performance that you see there on that rundown. It's only double double since the new year, and maybe that's his only fault, really, with what he's been doing so far this year. Again, we talk about still some strides to be made in the the physicality, the strength departments for Alex Sarr. Although I do think there's already progress. He's clearly flashed and shown off. The one stat that kind of blows your mind about Alex Sarr, I saw this earlier this week or maybe last week, and just a quick update to it. 71 blocks on the season so far, just 66 personal fouls. He's the only guy in the league with more blocks than fouls. One of the traits I've seen, and again, I've seen it as more of a criticism that he doesn't use his fouls enough. Again, kind of criticizing his physicality, which again, I've already said there's strides that need to be made there. But the ability to defend without fouling is going to be a huge one in his career moving forward. The projections for Alex Sarr tonight: 18 and a half points, 7.5 rebounds. I would be excited, at least just personally. And remember, I mean, all these selections, I let you know, same ones I'm entering there in the Underdog Fantasy app every single day. 18 and a half points, higher than that kind of excites me. I would get a little bit nervous about higher than 7.5 rebounds. So at least I'm going to look over at Keyshawn George and select him for higher than 4.5 rebounds. Again, shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the episode and for sponsoring this segment. And I mentioned that size, physicality. We're still looking for Alex Sarr to maybe reach his full potential in, or maybe we say there's still some strides to be made there. Well, I'm going to throw out a name that I actually think complements Alex Sarr and maybe what he isn't really, really well. And he's currently the backup center down in New Orleans. Obviously, Zion Williamson, the big name in the rumor mill here this week. But I'm going to throw out another Pelican, and that's Yves Missi. And currently the backup center behind Derek Queen, but he was a second team all rookie member last year, averaged 9 points, 8 boards as a rookie, more than a block per game. He's hyper explosive, 6'11, 235. If you just go, I'm not going to claim to watch the Pelicans every single night, but if you go just click on his 4 minute, highlight reel, you see the 7-footer yamming on guys left and right, to be quite honest. Again, kind of compliments to me what Alex Sarr maybe doesn't do well or hasn't, quite figured out yet. I think having that kind of impact, a guy that can really defend, and then again, just kind of be a rim runner at times at the other end to kind of be that complement for Sarr is going to be an important thing moving forward. And then it also eliminates the need essentially to keep Marvin Bagley around, because I've said even before, and I love how Bagley is played, but what would make me nervous about other teams calling for him as this trade deadline gets closer is that even given the situation this year, I'm not sure I want to see Tristan Vucevic be the number 2 big man. I feel like that's just going to lead to a lot of blowouts, to be quite honest. And for me, this would mean kind of free up Bagley to be moved. You wouldn't have to worry so much about keeping him because you're just going to get just absolutely even worse destroyed than the Wizards kind of have been this year on the rebounds and on the boards, I should say, and things like that. So Yves Missi is the name I'm going to throw out. Let me know if you guys think I'm crazy here. Shout out Wizards on SI. Owen Jury is where I originally saw this idea. 21st overall pick last year from Cameroon, played a year at Baylor. And, maybe you could even throw Bagley into that deal and he becomes, a trade deadline guy again, like he was last year. But for me, that seems like an interesting compliment to an Alex Sarr. Let's jump into the comment section real quick from the previous video. Some things I know I wanted to discuss here quickly today. Multiverse Joe commenting, by the way, thank you for the clarification there on the Alex Sarr All-Star game, Rising Star game. Doesn't look like he's going to get to the All-Star game this year, but I mean, as Wizards fans, I think we all got to be excited about for that Rising Star game. It should at the very least have at least a couple Wizards, maybe 3, right? I mean, I'm thinking Keyshawn, Sarr, maybe even Trey Johnson could get into that game. But on the Zion Williamson front, and I know there was a couple, Jay Hendo as well, says, I'm all in on Zion. Fresh start, still only 25. The upside is there. I'll just kind of go back and forth here. Kiro Haig, you pass on Zion. Larry says it would kind of upstart. It would kind of ruin the young development with the Wizards right now. And well, I'll stick with Zion here before I jump into the Kaminga stuff. Real quick, just on Zion Williamson. And again, it seems like the price, if the price were just that second first round pick that the Wizards have next year, again, looks like it's probably going to be OKC's, which is realistically, going to be probably number 30, right? Again, I realize just that price is kind of enticing, and you go, hey, man, like that's all it would take to bring him here. I just don't think Will Dawkins has given up anything in the first round. I think he values those picks, even if it's number 30 overall, more than all the other GMs in the league do. And still, I know. Zion has looked great this year. It's exciting. It's enticing. But are you telling me how many games do you think he's going to play next year? And if you tell me 60 or 70, I would tell you he just hasn't done that his entire career. And, if he goes and proves it, all right, I'll raise my hand and say I'm wrong. But I'm just going to look at what he's done so far. Uh, and then there was a comment on Kuminga. The problem with Kuminga is that Kerr didn't play him and he didn't fit in allegedly, so why keep him? The Warriors aren't winning a championship, so why keep the guy? And for the Warriors, even at the 8th seed, I mean, I have to imagine with Steph Curry being 37 years old, with that organization, every single year they're looking to try to get to the NBA Finals. And so even when they're, not sitting kind of low in the West, that still has to be the priority for that franchise because essentially they only have so many years left of I would say, the face of their franchise, right? I wouldn't just say that. The world kind of would. On Kuminga, I kind of feel the same way with him about Zion. I mean, if the price is just absolutely right, I guess I'd be interested. But frankly, I think he, jumpstarts development maybe even a little bit more than a Zion Williamson does, or maybe the opposite of jumpstarts, right? Curbs development even more than a Zion Williamson does. And I also think now, I said this yesterday, the talk or the idea of Middleton or Kuminga, that, idea has been thrown out all year long. And now with Jimmy Butler getting injured, even if the Warriors, you don't think the Warriors are winning a title this year, they need Kuminga to step up if they have any hopes of making a run down the stretch or into the playoffs. And so that's why I think that probably shuts down trade news there. You also heard from the Golden State GM. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of demand back for a Jonathan Kuminga. So interesting to keep your eyes on that situation out there. Enjoy Wizards game day here today. Should be back with you guys tomorrow morning. If not, we'll be back next Monday, but should have a reaction for you tomorrow. Appreciate all your support here on the page. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons. And thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.